We are live.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Vancity, Beats, Eats,
and more.
And more. You are tuning in live right now. This is being recorded on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations, what is colonially known as Vancouver, BC, and what we call Vancity. My name is Kazi, and I'm joined on the show today by a beautiful, wonderful, potent, brilliant human named Simran Sachar, aka Simsies, who is a dancer, who is a movement artist, an actor, a choreographer, a director, a
writer, just a girl.
Just a girl living in this crazy
world.
There you go. I'm stoked to have Sim on this show. It's we've got 4 more episodes left of season 2, so it took a while for us to be able to make this happen.
Yeah.
You've been super busy,
Yeah.
working on everything, literally. What's been your life?
I was directing a play in May for Ignite Youth Fest. Before that, I was working in Nancy Lee's show. Mm-hmm. After that, I got the news that my work was selected for Dancing on the Edge, so I premiered my own live choreographic work for the first time in Vancouver. I've only ever premiered films because I moved here during COVID, and then I was also in the work of Anya Sogstad later on in the festival for closing nights. So there was a lot going on.
Yeah. Dancing on the Edge actually just happened this past week.
Yes, it closed on Saturday night.
Yeah, and it's crazy that after this week you're already still we were talking pre-interview so when's your next day off, and she's like, literally don't know. I'm already working on the next thing. Got a 5-hour acting class after this.
I was also pitching in Montreal in between rehearsals for Dancing on the Edge. So there was this one day when I went to rehearsal, and then right after rehearsal, a few of us who were heading to Montreal to pitch at a festival called xʷməthkwəy. We ran from rehearsal right to the airport. We flew the red eye to Montreal.
Oh,
we
my
woke
gosh.
up in Montreal. We went to a meeting right away. We went and talked with presenters, went to a tech rehearsal, then had to go and mingle at the xʷməthkwəy kind of meeting spot, which is in a little bar where all presenters and artists meet, and then finally got to go to bed after an all-nighter and then all day of working. And then the next day, woke up, we pitched, did the pitch, went really well. And then right after the pitch, we had a 1-hour window. We went to Bota Bota Spa, and then we went back on the airplane, flew back to Vancouver, woke up, did rehearsal the next day.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I just kept saying I'm living my dream.
Yeah. You're like, I'm stressed, but I'm living my dream.
I was like, I'm living the dream.
Yes.
Trying to keep my eyes open.
Yeah. That's crazy. Sidebar, that alarm went off because before the show started, we put together a berry crumble. We're in berry season out here in Vancity, so let me see. That doesn't look ready.
She's not ready yet.
And I don't know. This might be the first time ever that something is coming out not the way that I want it to.
Which is the best way that things should go all the time.
Let's give it another 5 minutes. Let's see what happens. But right now, what the crumble is doing is, it looks like it's having a bunch of craters from the mixture. Yeah, it's
true.
I'm looking at Jamal, and he's just pointing at his stomach. He's like, it's all gonna be the same in here. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna taste good, but doesn't matter because look at this spread that we've got.
You killed it.
Yeah,
we killed it.
You helped. There's a lot going on. We can snack, we can chat. For those of you who don't know Simi, and actually how we know each other, is from the street dance community.
Yeah.
And I remember very specifically, please go.
Okay,
don't,
I'm gonna eat something.
Yeah. You're like, the
shy.
salami. This is fennel salami, by the way, which I've never had up until now. And when I was putting all together all of this, and I was asking Sim to help cut the carrots, cut the veggies, then I opened up and busted out the salami. She's like, oh my gosh, thank goodness it's not just vegetables.
Thank goodness.
No, my nickname is Salami Mommy. There was a period of time in our episodes where I was doing plant-based, but guess what? Salami Mommy never left. We was just taking a break. She back.
She's back.
Do you like this?
I love it.
I also like this fork with just 3 prongs.
Yeah, so unique. Less is more.
Less is more. But more is more.
Right.
Didn't catch on.
like,
It's fine.
Love it.
Back to what I was saying. First time I met you, I remember.
I forgot my shoes in your studio.
Well, I met you in the studio. I was coming in after, I guess, your guys' rehearsal.
Yeah.
At the time with immigrant lessons was wrapping up. And I was like, oh, who are you? I've never met you before. And you were so cute, shy. You're like, hi. And everyone introduced you as like the newest member. And you guys were all preparing for a trip to go to the Philippines. And we're doing rehearsals in the space. But yeah, after that, I pretty much started to keep seeing your name. I started to see your name a lot everywhere, whether it was like you applying for Form Festival to submit a work, or like, you know, like you, like, I think for a while it's always been kind of from a distance just because the pandemic also happened. But yeah, just seeing you step into the world of acting, or seeing you step in the world of like experimenting with XR and creative technology with your movement practice. It's just like, dang, like Simran came to Vancity and she don't play. Like you came full force. And so when I read your resume and your bio, seeing, you know, and what I love about the practice of bios is it's such a like self-affirmation process of like, this is what I've done, this is who I am and how I want to present myself to the world.
Yeah.
I just felt so stoked and so proud. Yeah.
No, it's so true. I feel like even when I was making my website this year, it was like my website's finally live now, and it was like even putting that together, it was kind of like, whoa, I've done so many like things. And it's like, it's always weird because I feel like as an artist, you're like almost always looking
For the next.
Yeah, and like it's like when you do something, like the novelty wears off so fast, and like then you're just kind of like, it's always like after a show or a big event or like a film shoot, or like anytime I've been on set or a battle or something, like, and something really amazing like happens, or maybe something amazing doesn't happen either, but like it was just such a good experience. And like after like the novelty wears off so fast, and then like you just on to the next thing that you don't even get to like really like sit and like, whoa, I just like that just happened, or like that was like something I wanted to happen for a long time, and now it's past, and now like there's something else is gonna happen. And I feel like now I've been trying to like every time I'm a part of something, I've been trying to like live so in the moment of it, like be so moment to moment and so present. And I feel like because of that practice, like, which is something I like learned a lot in acting classes, like, is like the more like calm my nervous system is, and the more like safe I feel, like the better the whole experience is gonna be, the better like the art is gonna be, and like the more abundant it's gonna be, and also I'm gonna remember it, and like I'm gonna be able to like actually have a moment to be like focus on like what's actually happening and the magic that's happening, instead of thinking of like, am I doing a good job? What does this person think about me or something? So it's like interesting to go back to my website or like write a bio and be like, okay, these are like all really like things that I've wanted to happen for a long time, and they have happened. Yeah. So you're right, it is like a big self-affirmation.
Yeah. Even you just saying that and just remembering to be like present moment to moment just gave me like a kind of feeling of just remembering like, yeah, this is literally what we have now.
Yeah.
You know?
It is so true. Wow.
What do you think? What do you think?
Let's see.
Let's see.
I think this will just be the best it gets.
This is the first time in Van Beam history.
It's okay. I like think that I'm all about like when like things never just happen the way that it's gonna happen with me, and this is great.
Well, is it because I decided to play with chickpea flour? Is that why?
It might be.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's get a little.
Right.
We've got
not my big head in the way.
Okay. This is called what not to do when making a berry crumble, which I've made several times. But like, I don't know, for some reason I thought it would be so fun to add chickpea flour. You know what? What if we did a broil? What if we did a crisp?
Let's try it. It's like a science experiment.
That's what baking really is.
You can add scientists to our bios.
Watch your little legs here for the burn. You don't want to get burned here.
True.
Okay. Whew. Yes.
Yeah.
And that is, nope. Boom. And we set the timer on.
I'm so sorry.
What does that mean? Push on. Push start. That's it. Ha! We figured it out. Because guess what, Simi? We're smart.
Exactly.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, I mean, I feel like I know a lot about you already. I also listened and did a deep dive of like a 2-hour podcast episode of you.
Oh my God, which one?
The one that happened 3 months ago on Middle Fingers Up.
Oh, okay.
Which was cool because you were talking to somebody who is from your South Asian community, family friend, someone who isn't really connected to our like street and club dance world, so they didn't know a lot about, you know, whacking, punking, house and hip hop and, you know, this culture and these styles that you've learned a lot from and have trained in. But yeah, what I know about you is that you started dancing since you were like 3 years old in a dance academy and pretty much like every day full on, like you've never really taken an actual break from dancing. Like it has been part of your life.
No, I never have. I feel like there's been times where I've like, in my heart, I've like felt distant from it, but I've never actually like stopped doing it. And like, I feel like I've like never given up on it, even like when like, it's such a mean industry. And like, I feel like I've also like experienced so much towards me and like so many like harsh words towards me and like what I do and like, and it's just so, I used to think it was like a me thing, and like something I really learned this year, actually in the last time I pitched in Montreal, the very first time I ever pitched, I had somebody say something to me and I remember it just like, it took me out for days. Like I was like in my bed and I was crying and like my body was aching and everything was hurting and like, I was just like, in this like feeling of like I don't want to be seen, I don't want what I do to be seen. But then I got over that pretty quickly, and then I was like, and then I think I was kind of like I remember calling. I have this really beautiful friendship with this another Punjabi woman in our like dance and acting industry, ílwətaЛ, and we've known each other through dance like growing up because we were both kind of the only like South Asian kids in like a very the very serious world of like a dance academy. And I remember she was the first person I called when like somebody had said something towards me in my work, and it was just like really beautiful because I've never had someone who like looks like me and is actually experiencing all the same things as me that I could call and like say like this is what this person said about me, and her getting to be like, they're exoticizing you. Like, that's happening because you're brown and you're a pretty girl and you're in this world. And I think, like, having someone to voice that to and, like, talk about it with, like, it relieved me of so much and it took so much off of me. And I think, like, it was the first time in a long time where, like, I realized, like, that's just always going to be there. Like, I can't do anything about that. I can't do anything about what people say about me, what I look like, how I dance, how I see the world, how I put my work out. Like, I can't do anything about that. And like, and those moments are like, I think sometimes what distances me from it. But now I'm like learning, like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's literally always going to be there. Like, people are going to be so mean, and this is just the world, and that's just how this industry is sometimes, especially when you start getting to like putting yourself in the game a little bit more. And like, all that I can do is like stay true to myself and like keep putting my hand out, and like whoever grabs on, that's great. And honestly, I think since that happened earlier on, like I would say like closer to the new year, I feel like I've never felt so close to like my dreams and like my dance and my craft with like acting and dancing. Like, I just feel like I had to hear that one more time to like really be like, okay, this is actually not going anywhere. And like, I just have to keep doing it. And somebody else is probably going to say it again, but I can't like change everything about myself for like every single person who views like what I do.
Yeah,
so I feel
and
like
has opinions on it.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes those things like create distance with me and like the craft, but it's like I'm physically still there doing it. But like I'm always like fighting for ways to keep like my heart like going. But I feel like right now my heart is like, there's like no fight, there's nothing. It's just like, it doesn't matter what anyone says. I'm having so much fun, and I'm like I'm just having literally the time of my life right now creating.
Yay! Yeah. I there's three things that popped up in my head. So first, real quickly, for anyone who's tuning in and doesn't know, like, what does that mean to, like, pitch? You know, because this is a big part of now your life, of pitching your idea. So if you can quickly explain in the world of, like, auditioning and dancing and whatever, what does pitching mean?
So when I'm like pitching, it's more for my choreography rather than like necessarily me as a performer and as like a dancer in someone else's work. But I've been going to Berry Crumble back.
Oh no!
We took it too far.
We took it too far. We're gonna accept life. It burns.
It might be good though.
It's smoking.
It really is a science experiment.
Make note, for the first time ever in Van Beam history.
And more.
And more.
Oh no.
I have burnt the crumble. We're gonna eat it. We're gonna figure it out. But
I think it'll still be good.
We're just gonna let that cool down.
She's hot.
She's hot. She's crispy.
She's sexy.
Okay, continue.
So I feel like with pitching, when you're pitching your own choreography, you're essentially going, there's like different festivals for it. They happen in Vancouver, they happen all over the world. And essentially at these festivals, presenters from literally all over the world travel to this one place. And there's different events going on throughout the week, different events in different stages, different studios everywhere. And choreographers from all over the world, presenters from all over the world are kind of in one hub. And it's really a chance to network and share your ideas. And for me, at least, it's a chance for me to introduce myself in this like world of choreography now as a choreographer. And like it's kind of like you only get a very short time limit. For us, at least, we only had like 7 to 10 minutes, and I performed an excerpt, and then I shared about more as me as an artist, and like about like my like what I'm really interested in right now. And from there, sometimes presenters will talk to you, they might be interested, sometimes nobody talks to you, and then you just like move on and you try again. But it's definitely something like just like the same thing as like auditioning as a skill or writing grants as a skill. Like it's definitely something that you like keep doing and you keep trying to get better at, because it is definitely something where you're like advocating for yourself and your work. And like the other thing is like dance and touring is kind of like shifting right now, so I think I'm coming into it in a phase where everything's like transforming. But again, I try not to like go to like future thinking when I do it. I try to stay like very moment to moment. And also like I just really love talking to people and artists, so like even if nothing comes from it, I'm always interested to see like what like people like presenters or something, like what are they doing, what is their like what is their organization doing right now, how is it transitioning, or like even just like what are they like as people. I feel like it's not even necessarily always about like I'm a choreographer, like this is what I do. It's kind of also like, oh, like we're also people.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the time when you work with people, you want to like them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes it fun.
Yeah.
You know, why put yourself in a position where it's not?
Exactly.
Yeah. So the other thing that came up in my mind is, you know, thinking back to when I first met you and when you first moved to Vancity, you know, where, and hearing that right now you feel that you are living your dreams and that you are making your dreams happen. Like, where were you at that time when you took the leap from Calgary to come to Vancity? And, you know, what did it take for you to make that choice for yourself?
I was going to school in I grew up in Calgary.
And this was 2020, right? Or
I moved here in 2020.
Got it.
January 6th, 2020. And I grew up in Calgary, so I went to university in Calgary, and I finished my degree. It was like very important for my family and for my parents. And now looking back, I'm so happy I got my degree, and I think it was very important for me as well.
And your degree in journalism?
Yes, my degree is in journalism. But when I was doing my degree, I was back and forth in New York and Calgary. And my dream was originally to live in New York. And so when I moved to Vancouver, it was with the intention of going a bit more commercial and a bit more, just so I could get some more film and TV credits in my resume, so that I could have a better chance at when I apply for an O1 visa. And there's just these little things that happen. Yeah. That you have to like kind of like make sure you have in order.
You were strategizing.
Yeah, I'm a Capricorn, so. That's kind of like was my intention of moving here originally. And then COVID happened, And then I just like stayed. I didn't want to move back to Calgary. Like I didn't want to move back home. I still wanted to figure it out. So I stayed here. And I felt like because COVID happened and film and TV wasn't really like the same at the time, I was kind of like just like going into like a direction that I think felt like more authentic to myself. And I still love like film and TV, and I still love being on set, and that's still like very much a part of like what I want to do. But I think like it like took me in a direction of like I've always loved making my own work. I've always loved like creating. I think I have like scary cool ideas, and like it just like gave me the chance to like manifest them more. And so yeah, and then I've been here, but I've also been so in and out of the city. Like I feel like I've not been here for a good chunk of time. And this year I was like, I really want to stay here and see what I can do. And I'm so happy I did, because there's also one thing to like having a base and like building there, and then like, you know, and I think Vancouver has so much potential because like it's big but it's small. Yeah. Like there's so much going on here. Like people from all over the world come here. People in LA want to work jobs here. Like there's so much happening here, but at the same time the community's so small that I feel like there's room for us to like transform things into like our own way. Yeah, definitely. And I say transform because I feel like everything I'm doing has already been done like by generations before me, and that's like why I can do it. Yeah. But like I think I'm able to like see that and then like see like what I can do with it now. Yes. And I also love working intergenerationally. Like I love working with elders. So I feel like transforming it now is like, it's like the cool part of living in Vancouver. What do you feel you can see transforming based on your contribution to it? That's such a good question. I think that I feel like I'm opening up something that is like allowing us to like see each other a bit more. In terms of like there was a moment I had performing last week. I got to perform the work with my best friend Sophia, who is like a humongous part of like everything I do, and she inspires me so much. And like, so I think a huge part of that performance, there was like a moment where I got to like look out into the audience, and I just like felt like I could stay there forever. And I think a part of that, like, I don't know if this answers your question directly, but I think like a big part of that is like the safety aspect and the calm nervous system. And I'm sure people have like figured that out before, but I really feel like that's like the secret to like everything being a good time. And like something I'm learning from the older generation, for example, Sufei Lee is somebody who's also a big part of like outside eyeing the work I do. And something they share is that like it is about the audience and what they see for sure, but it's also about like the experience we're having on stage and the experience like we're having like in whatever we do. And I think like a huge part of that is like that calm nervous system and like feeling so safe. And like I feel like I'm kind of going on a tangent now. Yeah. But something else that like I think like is like transforming. I was in Montreal for FTA to pitch, and I got to see Nubian Nene's latest solo work. And incredible dancer. And I was really inspired at the end by the way they paid gratitude to everyone who's a part of their village, and how many people in her village was maybe from the street dance community or communities that we don't like always get to see in these spaces. And so I feel like people before me have like already brought these people into these spaces, and now like I'm just like bringing my version of these people in these spaces and like my generation in, and also their generation in. Yeah. Well, you know, when I think about you and you as an individual, I feel like you have your own unique voice, your own unique style, your own unique like story that comes from your lived experience. So even though we do stand on the shoulders of those who came before us and our ancestors and our lineages, at the same time, we're also creating from a place of new that has never been done before. Because there hasn't been you. You know? Yeah, and I think like now that I'm talking about it, because that's something I've never really thought about, but I do think like something that is like transforming, like not just through me, but like through my generation, is like we do have the chance to like heal certain things that have happened in the past by like just like living and like being that change. And I feel like the work I was doing at Dancing on the Edge was coming from an experience of like what it's like to be like in a South Asian household. Often you live intergenerationally, like you have sometimes you have your great grandparents, your grandparents, your parents, and like us, but then like my house was my grandparents, my parents, and me and my sister, and my cousins lived very close by, and so it was very much like a lot of people packed into one house. But there's always like that day that's going to come when the one generation's not going to be there anymore, and that day did come, and it was like it was so sad, and it was so like there was just so much change that happened so fast. And like a huge realization for me was like, I'm never going to live the same life again. Like I'm never going to have this ever again. Like that's just gone now. Like a huge part of my childhood home is gone. A huge part of my childhood is gone. Like those things have like actually come to an end now. And I think like a lot of people experience that when their grandparents pass away. Like it's such an ending of like your childhood and of like such a naive time in your life where like you do get to be like spoiled and be a kid, and like so there's like this huge ending and a huge loss, but then like there's also this like freedom and this release and this relief of like maybe some curses are lifted, and also like some like the women in our family get freedom and like literally get like their hands back and their body back, and they can go like live and do what they want to do because they don't have to serve an entire generation anymore, and they can live for themselves again. And like so much was like when that happened, I just remember like I was so sad, but I was also just like thinking about like how exciting it's going to be for like women in my family to like go take swimming classes if they want to, or like go try figure skating if they want to, because they literally didn't have the time to do that their whole entire like life.
Are you talking about like your mom and your aunts or your grandma in terms of supporting
I think
the men in the family? Or
I feel like in South Asian households, like a lot of women, no matter who you are in the family, you are often just serving like the entire family. And like oftentimes I think like in my experience, I was like just getting to like watch my mom like really do everything for my grandparents, and I feel like it's really beautiful to see like those acts of service, but it's also like now it's like her time to like live her own life, and like now she has like a TikTok account, and she's like this amazing influencer, and she has time to like show off all her fashion designs. And she goes to swimming classes, and like I'm not even joking, her TikTok account, it eats everybody up. Like she's like, if you're trying to be an influencer, you should really look at what she's doing, because it's quite amazing and inspiring.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Can you tell us about the work that you did last week and presented? Because that was your first choreographic work that you had to present. What is it about? Also, big shout outs to Sophia Sosa, because I saw that she had composed the thing and was playing music, playing guitar. And like, it was cool to see that, because I had been seeing on her Instagram just like her posting, singing, and like maybe it was like the last time that we saw each other, and it was like a karaoke time. It was Nancy's house. At the loft. Yeah, and then we just like started singing together, because Filipinos do that when it's a karaoke R&B jam. But it's so cool to see that she composed something and collaborated with you on this. So what is the work about, and what was that experience for you?
So the work pulls from kind of just what I just spoke about with living in an intergenerational household and the grief that comes with it, but also like the relief that comes with it. And then it was channeled through whacking and contemporary. I feel like often when I dance, like there's so much movement in me. I've like trained in many styles for like many years at a time. But I would say whacking was like the main channel. And like it's so interesting, because I've always like seen like whacking is such a social club dance. But when you think of like the origins and the inspiration, and like so much of it being inspired by like big stages and these actresses and these heroines, and like even like some of the first times it was presented being on like tours and these like big beautiful stages, I feel like it makes sense that it can be on a stage as much as it can be in a club and as much as it can be in like a social environment.
Yep.
And it's such a tool for storytelling and story building, and like I feel like we hear that all the time. Like we hear about storytelling all the time as such an artist like word.
Totally.
But I really do feel like this style is such a like. There's so many components to it, but such a big part of it is telling your story and living your truth. And I felt like I wouldn't be living my truth if I didn't dance that in that way and with that channel. And then Sophia was kind of embodying, I guess for me, embodying a ghost who's just been there forever, playing forever, like has never left that chair. Where it kind of like takes place on a front porch, and there's two different worlds happening, and myself as one entity and Sophia as like the entity who's passed on. And she's in this like really long wig that goes off the stage, and she's just playing guitar. We never see her face. And
oh wow.
Yeah, and I think like there's like so many moments where like we just felt like, well, we feel like we're like literally touching the veil right now. So I really like playing with like, I really like creepy things, and I tried really hard not to make this performance creepy.
Yeah.
But sometimes there was some creepy moments. I try really hard. I feel like I tried, to do my best with not making things like too eerie, but I think it's just like a part of me. And
Where does that come from?
I really don't know.
Like, were you super into like horror films or scary movies
My
growing
mom
up?
loves horror movies, and I feel like because of that, I love horror movies. And I think like everything I've made, I try not to, but it just like keeps coming out of me.
Yeah.
And I don't like try to hold back.
I think that's such an interesting contrast from how you show up in like IRL in real life, because I wouldn't, take you as physically, aesthetically trying to be suggestive of scary horror, darkness, dark angel, whatever. But meanwhile, little do you know. Sidebar, what were some of your favorite horror movies or scary movies growing up?
Oh my god, there's so many growing up, but recently I just watched Pearl with Mia Goth.
No. Is this a new? Like it just came out?
It's like maybe a couple years old now.
Okay.
It is so good.
Yeah.
You need to watch it. She's amazing in it.
What is it, like gory type? Is it like
there's a little bit of gore, but it's
Yeah.
not too much.
Yeah.
But it's just her acting and like her delivery and like the way she just like stares, and like she's so relaxed and dropped in, and like only her mouth moves, and you're just like.
But the premise of the movie is
let me think.
this is going to determine whether or not I watch it.
Okay. How can I say the whole... Okay, whenever people ask me like the premise of something, I accidentally like say the whole entire movie word for word and like act it out. So I think...
Synopsis, one paragraph, go.
She like is like basically like super controlled by her parents, but she
Got
wants
it.
to be a star, and
Got
she
it.
wants to like audition and like tour the world as a dancer. And she wants to like be a star, and so she has to kill her parents to do this, essentially. And she's like a brunette girl, and this blonde girl gets the audition, and then she's like,
Oh my god. I'm getting kind of like teen horror vibes.
Yeah, teen horror vibes.
Okay. For me, I have this thing where it's like, I will not pay money to scare